we have a new, well, everything. So it's also CanDependence Week, and we're going to get into that right now.
Happy 4th of July on Friday, Miss America.
Yeah, that's right. And Canada Day yesterday, if it's Wednesday for you, if it's already Thursday a couple of days ago. Just so as you all know, this is our second annual CanDependence Week, and we believe we're not alone. There are hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people who don't want to fight. Can we all just get along? It's not the people, it's the government. The rest of us, we all know that we are friendly nations that like to hang out. So, since our independence and Canada Day are so close together, we like to celebrate CanDependence Day. Robert, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I think the same. I think that I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a little interesting of a 4th of July, but maybe I'm wrong.
It
I think
might
that,
be.
I kind of hope it galvanizes some people like, hey, this is kind of bullshit with all this crap going on. And we just need to,
Yeah.
I won't say go back to normal. It's never going to go back to the way it was. It's going to have to come into a new normal, but a more
Yeah.
friendly normal, not this bickering and tariff this and tariff that. And yeah, at least it's kind of quieted down a little bit on that front, which I'm kind of grateful for. But
So am I.
I
But
know
I
that,
have been hearing some interesting things going on, though. There was the elbows up thing, where some
you know,
Americans decided to go up the St. Lawrence River on boats, and they would have Canadian and American flags. And from what I understand, I think there may have been some people on the Canadian side basically either cheering them on or also getting into boats and doing the same thing. There was also a number of things planned for. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the name of the place. It's in British Columbia / Washington, um, at the border. I think it might be that part where it sticks out and you have to go through Canada to get to that tip of America there. Uh, or maybe it's a different spot. Well, it's where the Peace Arch is.
isn't that St.
What?
Louis?
Maybe that's the Peace Arch. Maybe I'm saying it wrong.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm saying, okay.
I don't know if I've ever.
Um,
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
know what? If there's comments, bring them on. I deserve it. Anyways, listen. No, what I mean is, okay. You remember the 2010 Olympics, and in the Olympics every year, broadcasters always decide to give you the story of the nation that's hosting and what they're really like. Talk about their history and their cultures, and they did that for Canada. It was Tom. I think it was Tom Brokaw that did it, and I mean, he basically had Americans going, "What? That's really how Canada is? I didn't know that." And they were a lot of Americans going, "Oh wow!" And they were taking their hats off, um, and
Oh,
stuff. But one of the first things he mentions in the video is this gateway or arch or something like that
so
that's
it is
on
a
the border.
thing. It is called Peace Arch, and it's
Oh,
in
okay, there you
Surrey,
go.
British Columbia, which is why I
So
didn't even
yes,
know what it was because I've never
yeah,
heard of it. I don't. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to show you that video later, of course.
but it is a thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so apparently there were people on both sides that basically gathered to have celebrations of us as neighbors, basically, and just to talk about how much our countries mean to each other. And I think that's a great idea. I think we're seeing more and more of that, and a lot less of the rhetoric that certain people think that they're trying to get us to do. Certain people are trying to get us to hate each other to make it more of a thing. Um, but that seems to be a smaller crowd. I'm hearing more people talk
I wonder if there are
positively on
any
both ends.
fireworks on the U.S. side on Canada Day.
I I doubt that because I mean, that's a lot of licensing money. That's thousands of
No, I'm talking
dollars
about,
of licensing.
I don't mean like professionally. I mean like people just
Oh,
like shooting off fireworks. Like,
you know what? It's possible, but considering that most municipalities ban fireworks outside of holidays, and some of them even during holidays, they let it go. Like a lot of communities in Ontario don't allow fireworks in parks and on streets, but they let it go on Canada Day, and they just say, "Oh, let them do it. Don't arrest them unless they're pointing them at somebody." Like Roman candles in some cities are illegal for obvious reasons. Oops, there it is. But I could imagine somebody somewhere, probably in Detroit or on a boat in the river, most likely, or Niagara Falls, and not in the river in Niagara Falls, obviously, because you're not allowed to be in the river without a license. um, but the one thing that I still haven't done and I would love to do one day is spend from July 1st through July 4th in either Niagara Falls or Windsor so I could watch fireworks on both days. Especially Detroit, because I don't know what it's like now, but they used to have one of the largest fireworks displays in the world. I don't know how it compares now, but it's probably bigger than most in Canada.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure Nashville's going to blow off again. They're usually in top 5 every year. They do a big deal over the Cumberland River right there at Nashville. It's usually pretty banger.
Yeah, you showed
But there's
pictures
like
last year.
150,000 people, and it's not. I'm not going down there again. I've been down there a few times, and it's just there's too many people.
That's the reason why I only tried to go to the beach for fireworks. Twice actually. Once I did make it because we walked about 50% of the way, and we were halfway there and said, "Screw it, we're going to keep walking." The second time, I got off the bus less than halfway because it wasn't moving for 10 minutes, and I realized that people were having a hard time even walking there because they were getting in each other's way. There were so many of them. So 120, I can tell you, I can raise that by about 120. And that's just on one beach. So there's no way. Um, wouldn't do that again. So what
Yeah.
I do now, well, when I still have my car, is I would go down or go drive up to Canada's Wonderland, and I'd sit outside the parking lot, just at the edge of the parking lot on a hill, and watch the fireworks that they did at the park, which they do almost every day. But of course, they make it bigger for Canada Day, and it's not
Okay.
bad. It's actually pretty good.
First off, I'm like really wrong.
Yeah.
Like I'm way wrong
See, way
about
more
Nash.
people than what you said, right?
355,000
Okay,
in
that
2024.
sounds more like it because I'm thinking it's Nashville. There's no way you only
Yeah.
have 150,000 people. You probably just meant 150,000 people on the street you were trying to drive on.
Probably the average crowd is about 200. So probably when the last I went was probably 150,000, but it's been several years ago. So
Yeah, well, obviously every year can be up and down depending on other things, financials, people, whatever. Um, I don't know.
yeah,
It
too many people.
yeah, it's a lot of people. So it's not something I don't know. When I get older, I love crowds and I love living in a big city. But to be honest with you, if I won $1 million today, I would live outside of town. Oh, can you see it? The new logo. And for those of you who clicked in and didn't actually pay enough attention, I'm sure we're going to show it to you at some point.
How are they supposed to know? We have not even mentioned it.
No, but if somebody clicked on this, they may very well have actually seen it pop up, or it may be in the little name thing,
Oh,
right?
well, I suppose.
So, or they may have missed it entirely. That's what I'm saying. Uh, so we should tell you is we've done a rebrand and we are now called the pairing mode. No, not the pairing mode, like I just said. The pairing mode. I got a little excited, started talking a little bit too much like Rachel Green.
Yeah, and our slogan is two countries, one frequency, because that's the way it should be.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and I've been doing my upgrades, and of course, you can probably tell I'm walking around, I'm moving around. No, there's nothing wrong with me. I have a standing desk now, and so I kind of like being able to stand up and do this, and then I can sit down a little bit later, or I can do the whole show sitting. Uh, did I say sitting? I hope I said sitting.
Said sitting.
Okay, good. Because in my ear, it sounded like there was a little too much S with an H sound in there. So if it
Well,
came out that way, that's not what I meant. I apologize.
here's the logo, so everyone will know. This is our new logo, and yeah, that's kind of cool. So
Yeah,
we
I
still
like it.
have the Canada flag. We got the the Bluetooth obviously is indicating pairing, and you're probably wondering like, what does that mean? And you know,
And pairing.
yeah, I mean, honestly, we spent 2 weeks running around different names. This wasn't my
Yeah.
favorite personally myself, but all the choices that I came up with that were decent, but they were all taken as far as like channel names and
Yeah.
X names
Yeah. And
and all that
there was,
stuff. And
yeah.
this seemed to fit fairly well. And so, we decided just to go ahead and roll with it.
Yeah.
So,
There was one of the other ones that I did like actually too, but like you said, it wasn't available.
yeah.
But what I do like about the pairing mode is it is saying basically there's two countries pairing together in so many things. I mean, we work together, we war together, we talk peace together, and we tariff together apparently too.
Yeah. Apparently.
we, we can get into that some other time. Uh,
Yeah. So we also have
so
a new X account, and I'm not calling it the other name. I'm sick and tired of people going X formerly. You know what?
yeah, there's no
Everybody
point in it
knows
now.
it's X now. Okay. Everybody knows it's X. Quit the formerly this because that's just ridiculous. So we have a new X. If you go to the YouTube channel, you will see it linked in the top description area. So you can click on it and kind of, go follow us on X, and we're going to start sharing the videos there as well. Of course, we're on Spotify still. Everything, all names have been changed to the pairing mode. So you can simply search for the pairing mode and you will find us.
And we
Uh,
will try to do our best to try to interact with you on X. So if anybody wants to, let us know in the comments here and on X if there's something you want to know, want us to talk about regarding Canada, United States, both of our countries, electronics, smart home tech, AI, anything you got. You want to talk about? Want us to talk about some old tech? You want me to talk about the first 16 baud modem I ever saw? I sorry, it was an 8 baud modem, but we won't go there right now unless someone requests it.
I'm sure we can find a sound effect too if you want to really know what it was like.
Honestly, I don't know. I never used an 8 baud modem. I saw it when it was 25 years old already, and that was like 30 years ago. So, anyways,
Well, I can't imagine it being any different than 56. It's still screeching, god awful noise.
oh,
I'm
I don't
sure.
think those ones didn't screech, did they? Did they screech?
56K?
No, no, no.
Yeah.
The 8 baud modems.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know if I've ever
Actually, they
heard
probably
one.
did. They probably just screeched differently. I really don't
Yeah.
know. That honestly, that's before my time, even
Yeah.
not
It's
age wise, but before I was actually computer literate. We'll say it that way. I did have friends that were using ICQ shortly,
I remember
early
ICQ.
into the 28.8K days.
Yep. Yep, that's before instant messaging was instant messaging. There were no
Uh,
chat messengers. It was all it was called RCS back then, was it not?
I think there was a different form of RC. I mean, it wasn't the same thing, not Rich Communication
No, but
Services,
I
but I
just
think there
it
was
just
an
dawned on
RC.
me. It just
I
dawned on
think
me that the
so.
acronym is the same.
I think so.
Huh.
But I think you
Interesting.
remember it better than I do. But ICQ, just to be clear, was around before the instant messaging app ICQ. that was
Yeah.
popular in the early days of MSN Messenger. The original ICQ literally was I seek you. And God, I'm not even sure how this, it was more like an extension of a message board without having to go on the message board. It was kind of similar to that kind of an idea. But
Yeah.
message boards were a thing back then, and you would sign up and talk to people. And this is how I met this girl. I had a girlfriend that I met from ICQ.
I can't say that. You got me one up on that one, but yeah. And then there was AOL. You've got mail. Man, I tell you, I can't tell you the number of
How many
AOL
discs?
CDs I had
I was just
laying
gonna
around.
say.
It was unbelievable. Such a waste.
And this was no different in Canada. Well, maybe it was a little different. We probably only got 5 to 10 cents a month to my address, whereas you were probably getting 10 to 20. Well, maybe not a month. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but if I
It was a
count
lot.
how, yeah, I at one point, I mean, because it's at one point, like first you're just throwing them in the garbage. I don't care. And after a while, they just keep coming, so you just throw it in a drawer. And next
Yeah.
thing you know, you realize the drawer's full, so you empty it into a bag, and then you put the bag in the closet. Then the bag becomes a suitcase. Suitcase becomes a garbage bag, and eventually you start trying to hand it out to other people. I don't need that. I can find that anywhere.
So here's a piece of trivia I bet you didn't know. I didn't know it until today myself. Speaking of all these discs and stuff, there's currently a lot of Boeing 747-8s that are
Yeah.
currently still flying and in production.
Yeah, of course.
They still use 3.5-inch floppies to load their software updates today. There's I was reading, it says there's 12 to 15 depending on the version, but some of the newer ones have a new version that can do it all online over the air. Why would you have floppy disks?
I was completely aware of that. And if you believe that, I've got a bridge I want to sell you.
I mean,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I figured even the oldest ones still flying were actually using like a thumb drive or something,
Yeah, that would have been made more sense than 12 or 15 3.5-inch floppies. And the guy even showed a picture of one that had Boeing 747-8, blah, 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 a bunch of numbers and, one of 15. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Some things die hard, right? Apparently,
Yeah.
3.5-inch floppies. At least it was 3.5 and not 5 1/4. I would have really flipped out about that.
Oh God! You want to know what would have been worse though? If they were using 3-inch
Reel to reel.
3-inch tape. I didn't mean 3-inch. I guess 3-inch would be this fat. That's although I think they did have that at one point, didn't they?
I have no idea.
But no, 1-inch tape or something. I can't remember. They were massive reels, whatever they were. Or how about punch cards? You put the punch card in. Where we're getting ready to land.
Yeah. Yeah. It really
That's, by the way, what they
dumbfounded me.
sounded like. When you put them in, it would go. And that's because it was. I mean, generally it was one card. You put in one card and you're getting one word out of it. So there would be like a pile of cards for someone who wanted to write. Half
the day today I was trying to think of what's the logic, because it can't be reliability, because with the reliability of internet, excuse me, these days, there's no way it's this is going to have less corruption opportunity. If anything, it's going to have more.
No,
it's very easily to damage a 3.5 inch.
I can tell you exactly what it is, because I love planes, and 747 is my favorite plane. So that particular plane, because of its age, and because it has been not overhauled but redesigned a few times, and the plane itself debuted in the 60s, if you remember the original. So it's on its deathbed as an airplane in the first place.
Yeah,
So
but there's others that have been retrofitted.
No, yes,
So-
but they were newer. Yeah, but they were newer.
It doesn't matter. It can be retrofitted.
No, well, not necessarily. In order to retrofit that plane, you have to change everything. The one thing about that particular plane is it has limited fly-by-wire, if it has any at all. And I'm not even sure. I think some of them might still have none. So in order to retrofit it, it would be literally millions of dollars that no airline wants to pay. So they're like, well, this thing flies, and the only time they ever crash is when it's the pilot's fault. So what's the point? And I kind of get that, because the truth of the matter, if you look up the 747, none of them have ever crashed unless it was the pilot's fault or
So
a bomb.
when was the Dash 8 manufactured?
Are you asking Gemini? Because if you're
No, I'm asking
me,
you.
oh, okay. I don't know exactly. My guess is it's probably somewhere in the 80s or early 90s or something.
No.
Is it 70s?
The 2008 was manufactured between 2008 and 2023. So your argument
Dash
doesn't
8?
hold water.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Hang on a second. Now
I said the
you're right.
Dash 8.
Yeah, that argument's gone out the window. So you're saying that wait, what'd you call this one? Was it a Dash 8?
Yes, the 747-8. There's several of them still in flight that use 3.5-inch floppies
Why would
to update
any of them
their,
use it from 2008? Who the
exactly
did you
my
use
point.
a 3.5-inch floppy in 2008?
No.
Of course not. What the hell's wrong with Boeing? No wonder their damn Maxes are freaking crashing. They're probably using punch cards. No, you know what it is? You know what it is? Their computer is a guy in the bathroom with an abacus.
Yeah, I flew a 747-8i when I flew to Italy to see Blake. It was like the best aircraft ride I've ever had.
Oh yeah, well, I've never been on one. Yeah. Oh, whoa, sorry, excuse me. What the?
Yeah, it was a good flight. It was lay flat seat up in business class. It was
Okay, first the guy goes to Disney World
awesome.
and decides he's got to make me jealous about that.
That was back in 2019. That's a long time ago.
I went to the bathroom once.
My next one I want to ride. I want to get on an Airbus 380. Those things are gigantic.
Good luck with that. They're not going to be flying soon, and I think there's only one company flying them anymore.
Probably
so
Emirates.
Unless you're planning, yeah, it's Emirates at 100% Emirates. First of all, they had about 80% of them anyways.
Yeah.
And you're not going to fly it out of Nashville. Pretty sure you have to either go to Atlanta, Toronto, or New York. Maybe Los Angeles.
No idea.
I'm not sure.
No idea. I know they're. I mean, not to fit that plane, but I know they're expanding Nashville International quite a bit. It's actually a really nice international airport now. They actually have their own dedicated international hub, which we didn't have before. It's actually really, really, really nice.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure it is. It's just it's a huge difference between that in a major hub where they.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, the amount of runway you need to land and take the thing off is.
Oh, it's not just that. It's literally got to be a hub. I mean, they've got like they fit like 600 and some people or some shit.
Well,
like
right,
that,
yeah.
So, like going to Toronto is because they know that there's 600 people that want to go to Dubai, or 600 people that want to fly on to Australia from there. Other than that, it's pretty much like Los Angeles, Atlanta, because Atlanta, everything flies to Atlanta. For God's sake. Probably O'Hare, I imagine. Probably. Actually, I wouldn't doubt if Dallas wasn't on that list now too. Though I mean, Dallas Fort Worth is a serious growing area too.
Houston, I know you can fly direct out of Houston on one.
Oh, okay. So probably not Dallas then, because they're not going to do both cities. Not the same airline with only one. Well, they got more than one.
Because you can fly direct out of Houston to like England and some of the European cities.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because they have a hub too. Yeah. Wow, we're getting off topic here again.
It all started with 3.5-inch floppies.
It did. So you know what? Let's go with a little bit of news. Well, yeah, I don't know if you want to call it news, but I've lost my I put this in here for. Oh yes, right. Okay, I'll start with this little piece. Let's see. I got this from 9 to 5 Google, by the way. I'm talking about Google details home member role with limited access support for children. Now, basically, I would always think that just having a guest mode thing, but I think what they're saying is a membership kind of thing. So you give somebody limited power and access to your Google Home, um, but not administrative powers. In doing so, it makes it easier for them to have a kids mode. So I guess you can have certain lights available in like the playroom or something that they can turn on and off, or the
Hmm.
TV they can turn on and off, and that kind of thing. And I think it's a good idea, but do you think Google's kind of sort of wasting their resources going after that donkey?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because like Liam, for example, I mean, just because he's not a member, he can still turn lights on and off.
Yes. Thank you.
So I don't understand really, like, unless it's more
But there's got to be
designed.
more to it than that.
It's
So,
maybe it's more designed for like file access, maybe, or something. I don't know. It does. It didn't.
okay.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
Access level, whole bunch of things that can't be done, obviously. Full device control and device settings, only with settings access. In other words, don't give them access and they can't. Uh, manage home-wide settings, household automations, home address, Nest Wi-Fi device, and so on. Only with settings access. Again, I'm skipping a bunch of stuff where it doesn't have a check mark. Check device and home-wide history, camera, lock, Wi-Fi, home presence history. Again, only with activity access. But then the last two, basic device controls, example, live view of cameras, check mark. Personal settings assistant features like voice and face match sharing, linked media service managing, personal presence, check mark. So I think what they're basically saying is that if you use this mode, nobody else not on the list in some way or another can do anything other than tell the lights to turn on and off. This gives somebody, if you had a guest and you wanted them to be able to look at the cameras, for instance, because you're working and they're going to be home, or you got somebody babysitting your house sitting, right? You can give them limited access so they can check the cameras and then say, hey, man, I'm at work and I know you're on vacation, but I just saw somebody snooping in your backyard. So maybe it's not that bad an idea.
so it's not
On
really
that note,
geared towards kids. It's just
no,
geared
I didn't
towards
get to the kid part.
non-household
Yeah.
living people that
Yeah.
you
I
want
think
to
the
give
kid
certain
thing
access
was
to.
a separate thing that they just kind of sort of jumped in with in the article. That's got nothing to do with that.
Yeah, because like you said, you just don't give them access. Like I don't understand. I didn't understand the whole point of that.
Yeah,
I guess for an
yeah, I
adult,
get what
like
you're
if you
saying.
had a babysitter for your kids and you didn't want them, you wanted them to be able to see like the kids' room when they're sleeping, so they could monitor the baby while
Yeah,
you're out.
yeah, stuff like that. Still be able to
But
look at the doorbell
yeah,
cam and stuff like that.
and not
I mean,
turn it off so they can
technically,
bring their boyfriend in.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Technically, that is a thing that they could do. Technically, anyways, inside your home, if you don't turn off security features and you've got like a tablet on the table that has access, right?
Right.
But um, if you do this, you can give them limited access so they can see that for their security, the security of your home, security of your children, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, Without giving them your personal information, or allowing them to reset your alarms or something like that. So
Yeah.
it
Create their
limits the
own
access.
Wi-Fi network where they can backdoor you or something.
Yeah. But I assume that when you do this, you actually set it into a secure mode where if it's not voice matched by you or someone else who's voice matched in the family or household, that it would be a completely different, um, like they wouldn't have access at all. Like you couldn't, like if I walked into your house and you had this on, I probably wouldn't be able to say turn the lights on. I'd probably say, I'm sorry, you don't have access. Like I would hope that that's what they do.
Well, maybe,
Otherwise, what's the
but
point?
I don't trust voice um
Voice
I don't
match.
trust it. Yeah,
Well,
because
no, I
not
don't
half the
either.
time it thinks I'm my wife and it thinks my wife is me, and we have
Oh, you know
totally
what's
different
weird? It
voice
used to
patterns.
work. It used to work
And
when they first introduced it. None of my roommates could get my you know what to turn anything on or off or answer
well,
questions.
it's I mean it sometimes it's accurate, but sometimes I'll walk up to it and I'll be looking at it saying something and it'll pop her picture up, like it's like thinks I'm her. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't really, it's just me and her anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We both have the same access, so it's kind of irrelevant, but another thing too that irritates me about Google Home, and I wish they would fix this, is that in your routines you can set
Right.
a household routine and a system routine, but you can't give a system routine on your device access to a household member. So, for example, if I create a new routine, let's say I call it bedtime, and I set it up, and I create it as a household routine, it'll sync across all of our devices because it's part of the household.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it's just on her device or just on my device, I have to go into each device separately and change. Like if I change a light bulb and like I name it something different, I can fix it in mine, and then hers will still say, "I'm sorry, that device has not been set up yet." Blah 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 blah, because it doesn't know the change yet. And you're just like, you are so stupid. Like that's ridiculous. Like that
That
is dumb.
it is a bit dumb.
That's my
It is a bit
rant.
dumb. I'll give you that. Careful with the rant, because I do have a little segment later that I'm gonna spring on people. That's my
Oh,
thing.
just my frustration with some of the
Yeah.
Google
And it's
smart home
it's
stuff.
understandable. So speaking of people's frustrations, put on the old man face again. Jury says Google must pay California Android smartphone users $314.6 million. That's not each, by the way. That's
I'm moving to California.
yeah, I'm getting in there now. The thing, what is this about again? It's San Jose, California, blah, 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 blah. Misused customers' cell phone data and must pay more than blah, blah, blah. The people were complaining, basically, and suing Google over data that they weren't told would be sent, even when their phone was idle. This never should have happened, because what it is the data that was being sent back and forth was all due to the phone pinging in that it's there, and Google pinging back, I got a security update. Let's update Google Play services. So this data going back and forth was really the Google apps confirming that they were still in need of an update, that kind of thing. It was all related to security stuff, updates from that. We're not talking about advertisers going back and forth or their personal data being shared with anybody. None of that was mentioned in this. And so, yeah, I mean, that's just, you can sue anybody for anything, man. And
Yeah.
and so they lost that, and Google said, okay, fine, here's the money, whatever. I mean, let's face it, $360 million is a lot of money. I could live for the rest of my life like a freaking king, but that's like 3 cents out of your pocket if your name was Google,
Yeah.
or Alphabet rather. So
Yeah, but I
that's
think the bigger
pennies.
picture though is it sets precedents, and then someone can come in later and be like, "Oh, well, you lost that. You paid them this, and now look at this, and now you owe me that," and suddenly it's $2 billion or something. So who knows? I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like if you were a media company and you lost to a pile of oranges or one orange. I'm not going to get into it, but you settle and you don't apologize because you know you're not wrong,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just because you have to. But we're not talking those things right now. We're not going to talk about oranges or apples, especially
I
not
still don't know
oranges.
why you don't just say his name. Like,
I'm not saying it today. It's CanDependence Day, and we're not going to taint anything with that. So
okay.
these are briefs. Okay, FaceTime in iOS 26 will freeze your call if someone starts to undress. Now, on the one hand, we can laugh our asses off at them on this one, but I'm going to give them a kudos to this because they may not always know if someone is 12, 13, or 33.
But isn't that censorship?
So what? It's entirely through their proprietary system. They have every right. It's not through a phone line. It's
through the internet.
Technically,
Yeah.
but not really. I mean, yes and
You mean
no.
not really?
Well, yes and no. It's not going.
No,
through
it's just
normal
absolutely
internet
yes.
channels.
It doesn't matter if it's normal or not. It's
Technically,
still
no,
transferred
because
over
it's
public
not
domain.
Like you have to have a. It's.
Look, I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying I'm going to play devil's advocate because that is a form of censorship that so many people complain about other things that people do because they're saying if me and my wife have iPhones and we want to FaceTime each other in the nude because we're 100 miles away from each other and we want to have fun.
You have to face me. We're going to do a point counterpoint.
I'm not turning sideways.
Listen, I understand where I understand where you're coming from, and I kind of sort of feel the same way to some extent, but at the same time, I can honestly tell you right now that if I had a 13-year-old daughter that was FaceTiming someone and somehow got convinced to lift her shirt up, I'd be very happy to know that
100%,
iOS
100%.
turned it
but
off.
What's to stop them from monitoring my camera and not letting me do it on my webcam? What's the difference?
You're not getting my point.
No, I do get your point. You're not. I'm bringing up again another aspect of like, why is that any different than them monitoring my webcam and going and Comcast, or excuse me, AT&T going, whoa, you can't do that on your webcam because you're on our network.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to disagree again. Because again, this is a proprietary thing. This isn't just going through an open network. It's just FaceTime. You have to have a freaking iPhone and or iPad and or Macintosh computer to do FaceTime. It doesn't work anyway.
I know that.
Technically speaking, you can FaceTime with somebody on Android on their thing, but whatever. Nobody does it because it's too complicated. But anyways, the bottom line is I'm never going to disagree with it for that reason, right? But a lot of people might argue, well, why can't you just use age verification? Well, because you know what? There are people who actually fake age verification for other people.
Okay,
just like when you were young, you may have had somebody buy you a case of beer when you were only 17 years old.
Okay, so I didn't read far enough down because you missed a key.
Didn't you?
No, you missed a key point though on here that says new FaceTime safety feature for child accounts in iOS 26 seem to apply to adults too.
Exactly.
So again, if you set it up correctly and you're setting your child's iPhone up as a child account, they can't do that. Totally perfect, totally great. Exactly. You're controlling it as the adult. Me as a consenting adult, my wife as a consenting adult. If we want to get naked in front of FaceTime, we should be able to get naked in front of FaceTime.
Okay, that's a fair argument. They should have a second switch.
So the child, absolutely 100%. They're not consenting. Right. They're not adults.
Fair enough.
As long as you're being the right parent and you're setting their accounts up correctly, then it's
people.
A moot point.
Tell us. Comment down below. Should you be able to get naked in front of your webcam if you're an adult? With another adult only. Comment below. Actually, you know what? Tell us on X because you can say anything on X. Well, that's not true. You can't. You might get banned. Anyways.
But again, this has nothing to do with I think it's right for kids or adults. It's absolutely 100% wrong. So nobody out there think that I'm a proponent for any kind of disgusting activity. It's simply a fact that you can't take one thing and not the other thing. But that right there that throws a whole different aspect to it, because now the
Yeah.
adult has to set the account up correctly, and then it's a
Yes.
it's a moot point.
And
Absolutely, that should be the way it is.
and yes, and I
100%.
absolutely agree. So basically, they're pulling a Google right now, uh, and doing something without realizing that there should be extra controls
Or it's not
for
working as
people.
intended, which is also Google.
Yeah, very much so. So maybe they'll kill it, just like Google.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got I got two more things I want to bring up. Cell phones mark 40 years in Canada. Let me see the source of this. This might be
Global news,
it is global news.
the
You're
Canadian
absolutely right. It is.
press.
Yeah, a look back since the first call. We're not going to go through all of that. I wanted to bring that up specifically because the interesting thing is, of course, when they talk about the cell phone, a lot of people still remember the original car phones and talk about them as though they were cell phones, and they technically weren't. They were built on a technology that the cellular technology was built upon. But the car phones had like 1 to 3 cells in an entire city the size of New York or Los Angeles. So they only worked sometimes, they only worked over areas within that area, just like any other radio. You had so much room, but you could pass from one to the other. The other thing about those is that, and I remember this because my mother actually dated a guy who had a car phone, and he wanted to make a call, and he did the same way. And I saw this in a movie too. He'd pick it up, push a couple of buttons, and he'd say, "Yes, operator, I'd like to call blank, 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 blankety, blank, 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 blank." I'm like, what the hell? Just dial. Because he's talking on a freaking radio. It's like radar going, yeah, hey, yeah, can you put me through to Colonel Potter?
You think they're over there going
No, they were doing it electronically, but it was pretty close because that honestly, that switch thing that was done until the early 70s in some communities. Maybe
This
later
article
in
says
some.
that July 1st, 85 is when Toronto Mayor Eggleton used a 10-pound
Art Eggleton.
mobile phone. 10 pounds.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
nuts, man.
10
That's
pound
absolutely
mobile
nuts.
phone. And just to be clear, the first mobile phone use in America was, I don't know, what, a couple of years prior to that, I think.
I don't know.
But anyways, but it was the same phone.
I mean, you could curl your phone while you're talking, be like, get a workout and a phone call in.
Yeah, the first actual cellular phone, though, okay, to be clear, with actual more than 3 cells so that you could hand off from one to the other seamlessly, that didn't happen until the 90s, for crying out loud. Well, 80s. Sorry, it was the 80s, but it was late 80s. It didn't become popular until the 90s when they started making cheaper ones that were less than 5 pounds. My first cell was a brick phone. This is why I wanted to bring this up. I had
a brick phone.
Mine was an Oki and not from Muskogee.
I don't remember. Mine was a Motorola. Mine was a Motorola.
Yeah,
and then they got the
Dynatac,
StarTAC.
right?
The StarTAC came out. That was the best phone.
Did you
ever.
get the Dynatac or
I have no idea.
Did you have the Motorola Flip?
No, the brick phone was a Motorola as well as a StarTAC.
Yeah.
The StarTAC was the flip phone.
That was the
first. Well, in the States, it was called a StarTAC. I don't know what Dynatac is.
Oh, StarTAC is the little teeny flip phone though that came up way later.
Right. Yeah, I don't know anything about a Dynatac. The brick phone I had was like you held it like this, and you could.
Yes, exactly.
You know, but it wasn't a flip anything.
No, not that. That's not what I'm saying.
I don't know what a Dynatac is. I'll have to look that up.
Motorola StarTAC was the tiny little flip phone that they put out in like 99 or something
like that. And it was an amazing phone. That was like one of the best phones Motorola ever came out with.
I never actually got to have one, but I did like them. I was selling phones at the time, so I sold a ton of them to business guys. They loved them. They were so small. They were
reliable. They had great reception.
Tough as nails. We had a Motorola guy come in one time though and demonstrate how tough the Motorola's were. He threw one of the bigger ones at the wall, no problem. Battery came off, put it back on, still works. Took the StarTAC, opened it, threw it against the wall. Went over, put the battery back on, opened it up, proved that it worked. And now this was at a Rogers store where I was managing it. I'm not man, sorry, I wasn't managing it. I was just a sales guy. Um, and I got up in front of the manager and the owner, and I said, "Oh yeah, this is my Nokia. I think it was a 5120 or something like that, 6120." And I said, "Oh yeah," and I just baseball pitched the thing at the wall. Battery came out. I put it back on. I said, "Still works." You tell me in 10 years which one of these is actually the toughest phone ever made. It turns out it was the Nokia. It's still
Yeah,
listed as the toughest phone ever made. It
yeah,
wasn't
those
the
things are
60, it wasn't the
bulletproof.
5120 or the 6120. I think it was a different phone that they called the toughest one, but it was pretty close. It was the
Yeah,
one
those things are
right in front.
bulletproof.
Yeah, it didn't matter what brand you bought. Actually, if it didn't say Ericsson, it was tough. Sorry, Ericsson. You don't exist anymore, so I'm not sorry. So anywho, moving moving on from that, I just thought that was a really cool thing because I thought it's like the difference between then and now. Back in those days, and I do remember, by the way, telling my mother because of her the like I said, the guy she dated that had the car phone, and I said, I want to have one of those one day. She said, as if you're gonna do that. You don't even get your hopes up. You're never gonna have something like that. Which, by the way, is like not how you encourage your child. Okay. Anyways, I said, well, one day you can be able to put these in your pocket, and everyone's gonna have one, and you aren't gonna have one hanging off your wall. And she went, "Don't talk stupid," and walked away. My mother would call me often to ask me how to fix her Windows phone. So turns out I was right. She was wrong.
Yeah.
And one day, you know what? One day we have to talk about Windows Phone. That was a missed opportunity for Microsoft. They actually made a freaking awesome product. But
Yeah,
anyways,
it was good. I had the Trio 600,
oh, you
650,
had one?
750. Oh
I
yeah,
only
I
got to
had.
play with them. I
Yeah,
wanted
it
one
was a
so
good phone.
bad.
I actually loved it. I loved the 750. It was a great phone, but
Yeah, but then the
Microsoft,
Nexus.
they blew it.
Yeah, I wanted to get one, and then all of a sudden there was a Nexus 6P, or sorry, no, an HTC One. Uh, One
Yeah,
X. That's what.
and now we're up to
And
the
so
Pixel
I looked at the
10.
One X and I went, nah, fuck it, I'm taking this one instead.
Yeah,
And
now
so
we're up to the Pixel 10, Pixel 10 Pro that's coming up.
we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that in a second. I want to mention this because this is kind of important because we've mentioned sports before. NHL, NHLPA, Olympic officials finalized agreement for players to participate in the 26 Winter Games. Agree or disagree? Do you like it or not like it?
Personally, I think it's a player choice.
No,
I
no,
don't
I'm
have a
asking
problem with it.
you though. Oh, you don't have a problem. Okay,
I don't have a problem with it either way. I think it's truly a player's choice.
yeah, no, I agree. But here's the thing: since there's zero chance of seeing NHL hockey during the Olympics, anyways, you might as well let the NHL guys play.
Yeah, I have no issue with it. The only thing that obviously would suck is if they got
Yeah,
injured, but you know,
yeah, and that's unfortunate that can happen, and like it did in the whatever that thing was they did last year. A
the
couple of
World
guys.
Series thing or whatever they called it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, in my opinion, is a farce compared to past Canada Cups. And I'm sorry, I don't care. That's what it traditionally was. It was our tournament that we welcomed other nations to. It was the Canada Cup. You want to call it something else and have something else. Canada should go back to having a Canada Cup. Somebody doesn't want to come, they don't have to. They all would. Canada wouldn't win every one of them anymore like they used to. But but it would still be ours and it would always be played here. Now they have this World Cup of hockey. They play one game in Canada and like 18 games in the States, and nothing wrong with that in that sense, but it kind of makes us feel like we're the second class citizen, and it doesn't help that we never win. Anyways, having said
Well, all that
having
changed. So there you go.
yeah, true. But anyway, well, they've lost it. They've lost a number of games, and the fact of the matter is, hockey has much better parity. Have you seen how good Germany's been lately? Um, Anyway, so okay, I brought that up. That stuff's all done with. I like the idea of NHL in the Olympics. I hate the idea of NBA in the Olympics. Just to be clear, in the Summer Olympics, because there's nowhere anywhere compares. It's so unbelievably unfair that it just shouldn't be done. You might as well just hand them a gold medal and not even have them play.
It is pretty funny.
Where the fuck are you going to find anybody as good as NBA players on the planet? There's no competition whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I think it's changing a little bit because there are some sprinkled amongst other countries that actually played against the states.
Yeah, the one
but
Chinese guy, the one Azerbaijani guy, the
yeah,
one Kenyan, whatever, right? Maybe a one Canadian, but probably not. Canadian good enough to play in the NBA? Yes. Good enough to be on the Olympic team? Probably not. The only Canadians that have been good enough to be on the Olympic team couldn't make a difference because the rest of the Olympic team, Canada's done well at the Olympics once at least before. They won a bronze medal, which is actually saying something because it's the only time they ever did. And they did that with good coaching and really hard work. And I think one of the guys ended up in the NBA. I'd have to look it up. But
where is the Winter Olympics in 26?
it's embarrassing. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. With so much crap.
Where's the
going on
Winter
in the world.
Olympics in 2026 being played?
Okay. First, unlock your phone. The 2026 Winter Olympics will be played in
Italy.
Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy.
Interesting. Okay.
Italy.
Milan and the Pino de Pesto. Or I don't know. But yeah, Italy. That's kind of interesting. Which Italy's got some really great. Blake used to go skiing up in the mountains in Italy quite a bit when he was stationed there. So I guess they have some good skiing.
Well, yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about people skiing in Italy, Austria, France, the Alps. It's
Pretty
a great
much.
place to go skiing. Apparently, a lot of places there. I imagine I would love to be able to visit that region one day. That'd be kind of nice. So
Yep.
how far along are we at this point? It's just so as people
52
understand.
minutes.
52 minutes. That, you know what? It's
That's
time to
why
write.
I said that when this, Pixel 10 was coming, but you shut me down.
Sorry, I didn't. You know what? Was that a hint? Okay.
Yes, it was. It was a hint.
I'm gonna cut you off right now because I'm gonna give you my. Oops, I didn't do that right. I'm gonna give you my disconnected thoughts. I've been reading a lot of stuff lately about the Pixel 10 and what do you call it? Their new chip that they're making themselves. It's not being done by Samsung. And it's not going to be the most powerful, and it's not going to be this, and the cameras are going to be the same cameras, and the body's going to be almost exactly the same. And this is a lot of things. What bugs me about this is people are writing these articles without ever getting their hands on this product, and it's like they're trying to make people not want it. I've talked to a number of people who've actually said, I'm not going to get that phone because I read that it wasn't going to be any better, or it wasn't going to be any good, or it wasn't going to be as good as a Samsung, or it wasn't going to be as good as an Apple phone, or whatever. How do you know that? It hasn't come out yet. If you don't want the phone, you don't want the phone. If you're even considering it, wait for the phone to come out unless you want or need a phone earlier. My rant today is stop. Well, this is what I'm saying. I'm ranting about this. I want people to stop trying to force people into believing that they should or shouldn't buy something because they don't think it's a good idea, or because they just want you to click the stupid article or watch the stupid video. That is my rant for today. Sorry, my disconnected thoughts. That's going to be a new feature. I'm going to have a disconnected thought every episode from now on. So hopefully the next one is more organized. That's disconnected as much. But
Maybe you should rename it Discombobulated Thoughts.
that's a little too much. I think people younger than us don't even know what discombobulated is. But
Yeah,
disconnected
probably
thoughts.
not. Probably not.
Okay. So I don't know if we've got anything more to say, so maybe we'll just go with a final thought on.
Yeah, we're still working on the whole structure thing, and it's obviously I was out last week. Yes, I was in Disneyland with the family. I kind of rushed trying to get some things done. I couldn't get it all done, but that's okay. Not a big deal. So it's just like anything. I mean, if there's things you want to see, hear, talk about, let us know in the comments. Please like, share, all the fun things. And, follow us on X and let us know what's going on over there as well.
And if you don't have time, remember you can download the podcast on Spotify. And stream it on Spotify. And listen in the car.
Yes.
Or on the bus, on the train.
It's also on YouTube podcast, so you can do audio only on YouTube as well. But yeah, I mean that's really I think all that I have. I don't have anything else to say. There's a lot of especially as we start coming into this whole Pixel 10 launch, which is only 2 months away. Is it 2 months? 3 months? 2 or 3 months? Month and a half. Okay, so it's
barely
it's
a month and a half. And the actual release availability is I think the 28th of August.
I will say one thing, and I meant to actually mention this in the beginning when we were talking about phones. Yeah, it slipped my mind. I actually have a complaint about this S25 Ultra, and it's the wireless charging.
Oh.
Samsung really blew it with, I don't know if it's the coil placement, but apparently they didn't release very specific specifications to case manufacturers. They didn't know where to put the circle. This right here comes down too far into where the charging ring is because it's too far up on the body. So if you don't have if you have a round charger, it's totally fine. But like I have a Peak Design square charger that works with this Peak Design case that it'll go wireless charging, it'll turn off. Wireless charging, it'll turn off. And then it'll finally connect wireless charging.
Wait a minute, wouldn't that be Peak Design's issue then?
No, because Peak Design had to figure it out. Like they had to figure it out on their own. And
I see what you're saying.
Samsung moved the charging ring is too high in the body of the phone.
And they forgot to tell anybody?
I don't know. But it's not very reliable, and it kind of irritates me.
So basically, you have to hope that Google doesn't make the same mistake, because Google has already confirmed that they also won't have Qi 2. They will be Qi 2 ready.
Oh yeah, okay. So that means you have to have a case. So
that is correct. So
yeah, that's a complete failure.
I got some accessories to purchase.
That's a complete failure. Google and Samsung are missing the boat right there.
Yeah, and you know what? And then and you know what's going to be embarrassing? All of a sudden, we're going to be inundated with articles all over the place. Oppo, for only $328, give you a flagship phone with Qi 2.
Did you know that Oppo might be banned in the States?
Take you out on a date too. Love you long time.
Oppo might be banned in the States.
Oppo as well now?
They're under investigation for potential Chinese government data breach. Not breach.
You know what?
But because they're a Chinese company, and it's the same thing with like all these other things,
Well, so they might as well just ban everybody that isn't Samsung. Because I mean,
well, no, because there's
where does OnePlus come from?
China, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
is it not?
And who made the OnePlus?
I don't know.
Wasn't it the same guys from Oppo? Or they branched off or something like that?
It might be. It might be. I don't know. There's another
competing guys. I forgot the story. I can't remember how it came.
There's another phone out called the Nothing phone. I know you've heard of it.
Yeah,
They just launched the Nothing 3, which is their flagship. It's actually really nicely spec'd, and it's nicely priced, and it's a UK company.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyways,
Still nobody wants it.
I don't know. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty unique. A lot of people aren't like, oh, the design. Why did you do this and why did you do that? I watched the YouTube video on it today, and I was like, oh, that's
None
pretty
of that
cool.
matters to me when I put a case on it, anyways.
Yeah, but I
I
don't even
used
know
to
that
care, but that's why it's like I don't give it. Oh well, I wish I could have got the blue phone or the pink.
Yeah,
phone
but
or
this
whatever.
isn't even about
But-
color.
but-
This is about
but-
design and function.
Well, true. I get it, but if the design isn't terrible, I don't really care. Again, if I put a case on it, the only design you're seeing is the case. And if the cameras on the back of it look okay, it's the reason I couldn't buy an Oppo even if I wanted an Oppo. I don't want a phone with a giant camera bigger than my head in the middle of it, shaped like a donut. I'm exaggerating ever so slightly.
Well, you'll have
And
to go Google or you get on YouTube. Go look up the Nothing 3 phone, and
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I like it. I really like it. I think I like different. It's very different. The back
I
of it's
never
very
thought they were
different.
bad-looking phones in the first place. I've always
Yeah, this
liked the
one's
way they
people
look.
are kind of giving some flack over some of the things, but some of these phones, they're just boring. Like they're boring. They're just boring.
True.
Same
True.
old. It's Google, it's Samsung, it's Apple. They're all the same. It's all boring.
Yeah, I
This
like that
goes
Google
completely
does
opposite
minor
direction.
changes every couple of years and a slightly bigger change every 3 or 4 years, but that they keep most of their major changes under the hood. And it doesn't bother me that they only do the big changes once every 2 or 3 years, because if they do the big changes every year, you're going to realize that they're not that big. It's really not that much to it. I mean, you can't have a major OS change every year, and then every single human being that can't get it is going to be pissed off. So you got to have the big changes every few years. Google's actually been doing that right for a long time. And dare I say it, Apple used to get it right as well in introducing under the hood changes every year that make sense, and then only making big design changes once every roughly 3 years. And that's what Google's been able to do. If you look back at it, it's been 3 to 4 years that they've made all the major changes. And we've only seen 2 huge changes since KitKat, if you think about it. 2 huge changes. I'm going like this because I mean the ones that are so big that even the menus completely changed. Where the design was so drastically different that you could literally say the difference between this and that. KitKat to Android 10, I think. 9, 10, something like that. And then from there to what they got going now. Or not 10, sorry, 8. Something like that. Because KitKat was what, 4 or something?
Something like
4
that.
point
I don't
something?
know.
4.2
I
or
don't
something
know.
like that. So
way
yeah,
back when.
then they went like to not 4, 8 or 9 or whatever, and made a change, and then another major change a couple of years ago, and that was it. A few years ago when they did a Material U thing. So now it's another whatever they call this material donut.
Oh,
material,
speaking of material or
Walking Dead or whatever
liquid,
it's called.
you saw where Apple fired their liquid glass guy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You
That's
suck. You're
right.
fired. Get out. No one likes your shit.
You're fired.
Anyways, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's wrapping it up for tonight. Yeah, I think next week, hopefully, we'll have a little more because we're going to try to bring a little more structure where you kind of have an understanding of like segments. We think it's this has kind of been missing that, and
Yeah.
so it's going to be really probably more heavily tech focused than anything. We find that most of our viewers seem to really want that. So that's where we're headed. So
Very true. It's very true.
click that subscribe, drive along, run along with us, and have some fun because it's always mildly entertaining, at least.
Mildly entertaining.
Mildly entertaining.
I didn't say this, and we didn't say this at the beginning because we with our new format, we did this all wrong. So I got to throw this in before you say the final goodbye stuff. I'm Lionel from Toronto.
I am Robert from Nashville. See you next week. Peace.